This is the time to work on you and your business. So I've created a group, an online academy for professionals and entrepreneurs. Power Partners will help you to start helping yourself.
Helped me change my life and my business.
Not a Toastmasters, it's not a BNI, it's not any of these, but it is. So it's all this stuff in one place.
Get the results that you deserve right now. So what are you waiting for? Let's make it happen. See you in Power Partners.
Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
I am doing fabulous because I'm with the Queen.
Hey,
Barbara.
I so look forward to this show.
Oh, see, that's
Yeah. I mean, when you start off your day with something that, like this is the Time to Shine Happiness show.
Yeah.
And when you start off with something that makes you happy,
that's
the
whole rest of
it makes the whole rest of the day to be great.
Yeah.
So anyways, so what's new with you?
You know, it's funny because before I came on, that's why just to be total disclosure here, because we're both open like that.
Yeah.
I'm excited because I just hired just a few days ago my first VA. And she's doing my lead generating sales call stuff for the channel that's coming up in October.
Wow.
Talking about. And I met with her this morning, her first day. And I'm telling you, Barbara, you always like a person to come on your team. And I told her she's part of the team.
Yeah.
That's excited too. And she was, because what I did, I sent her all the information, the background, the mission, all that kind of stuff, regarding the Diamond Factor Network.
Right.
And she said, Barbara, I read that over and over again for all weekend, just to make sure that I'm understanding what your needs are, understanding the people that you're looking for as hosts. I was like, wow. I said, you took that time out? She said, yeah. She said, I'm serious about, working with people. And I said, she told me, she said, because we're a team. I was like,
yes. Exactly.
So that was good.
And when you can have that's one of the things that with how I feel about my VA. It makes a difference when they want what's good for you.
Yeah.
Because when they know what you want, it makes their life so much easier.
Yeah.
And once in a while I go in and I'll tweak something, but because they're still learning. Oh, yeah. But I'll tweak something and like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. Because we all do have our own flair.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And when we can understand that and communicate that, then it's golden.
It's golden. It really is golden. And like you said, I even told her, I was like, her name is Sammy. And I told her, I said, Sammy, if you see anything that you need to tweak or say this worked for me when I was working with the other person, I did this type of way, or whatever, bring it to me. Let's make the tweaks. Let's make the changes. Right. And she said, I really appreciate that, Barbara, that you are open to suggestions. She said, because sometimes, work with certain people today. So it's exactly what they wanted. Don't say anything. Don't give me suggestions. She said, I have worked with people that way. I said, ugh.
Right.
I said, I don't like that.
not because you know what? That's one of the things I was on. I did a little presentation yesterday, and we were talking about, and one of the things that I mentioned was the 4 most detrimental words in the English in any language is I already know that.
Oh, I can't stand that. I hate when I hear it, Barbara. I just
Exactly, because it stifles growth. It stifles communication. It stifles that camaraderie.
So much.
And it is so important. And I've dealt with it, and it's like, okay, yep, fine, all right, bye. because you can't grow. You can't help them to grow. You can't change anything because they are absolutely set. I already know that.
Yeah, I know that already. I mean, it'll slip out sometime real quickly. You can start talking, Barbara, about something. I know that already.
Yeah, I already know that.
Sometimes why are we here?
Then thank you. And sometimes, I mean, you can, like the other day I was at, and it was like, okay, we were talking about just a beauty regimen. Let's be honest, Barbara, a beauty regimen. And I was like, so she was telling me what she has. And I said, okay, I've already got that component. Ooh, I have that component. That's a different story. If you're buying something but she said, oh, this is a beauty scrub. Ooh, she had my attention. Oh, yike. I'm going to give her a plug. It's called Secret. If you want me, I get it's called. It was her secret. I don't know what it was. I don't know. They don't even know anything else. But I bought it. Oh, yike. This body scrub, and then follow up with a body butter.
Ooh.
Oh, yike. So I got out of my shower. I sat down at my computer and said, well, okay, I love it.
You got me. She got you at hello.
So that's a different story if you're looking at products and stuff. And okay, if you already have that component and that component, that's a different thing. But to just blanketly say, I already know that. It stifles any and it's not only for the other person, but it stifles your creativity.
Yeah.
And you cannot, and one of my favorite sayings is you cannot solve tomorrow's problems with today's mentality.
Oh, that's good. See, you hear the wisdom. Come on, Barbara.
You
I love the wisdom.
Do it. You have to be open to growing. So
you know what? Before you get to the soul, because I know you get to something else, just to add to that, to let you know, I did find one person told me the reason why they say that. Let me tell you what they told me.
Yeah.
It was very interesting, Barbara. I said, because I noticed they say it a lot, like you said, well, I know that already. And I was like, I've been talking about something, well, I know that already. And I said, let me stop. Let me stop from this. Let's take a pause. That's what I told her. Right. I said, I notice every time I'm explaining something or giving you something, that I'm thinking that would help,
right?
A suggestion or whatever, you keep saying, I know that already. And she looked at me really odd, and I was like, back in my mind, I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe this is gonna start something else. And she looked at me real quick, really, because we're on Zoom, and she's like, I never realized that until you said it now, Barbara. And she said, now that I'm thinking, I think the reason why I say that, because I don't want people to think that I don't know.
Right.
I was like, wow.
Right.
That was
but look how much you shared, you helped her to see. And because when you're aware of something, awareness is the beginning of learning. Yeah. That was awesome.
That was awesome. I mean,
that was that awesome moment.
That brought out, because I'm thinking, when she said that, I'm thinking, okay, fear, being ashamed. Right. I mean, all that stuff was kind of rolling in my head when she said that comment. And it made me, it opened me, gave me awareness. See,
Yes.
I was like, oh, okay. Because first it was one of two things. Either she goes say what she did, or say, you know what, forget you, and just get off of Zoom.
Exactly. And that's the saboteurs, of positive intelligence, that we all have those things and how we react. And that's one of the things that it's so important to respond. Not you responded. You did not react.
And I'm glad that it helped her out. And she even at the end, she's like, I just got to thank you. Just going back what you said, Brian, I got to thank you for bringing that out to me. She said, because I didn't even realize it. But after you stopped me and I thought about it,
right?
That's what, popped in her head. Like, okay, I don't want people knowing that I don't know. So I'll just say I know already. And she said what she would do is she said, I know already. And then she would go to like Google University or YouTube University and look it up.
Right. Exactly. So there's all sorts of reasons for, but when we turn it inwards, I already know that. Yeah. Even the words, they stifle our
growth. Yeah. Every time I hear it, I think about the chalkboard when somebody. Yeah. That's what I hear. That's what it reminds me. I was like,
exactly.
I know that already.
Exactly. So.
But yeah, go to your next. I know you have something good for us. You always do.
You know me. I love to research days of the year.
Yes.
So one of the days of the year that I thought that I would talk about today is in preparation for our guest today, who is a relationship coach. Okay. So I thought, well, I'm going to research what days. Well, it's fun. So the day is, there's a National Cuddle Day. Okay. So it talks about, like when you're cuddling and all the benefits. But one of the things that came out of it was that sometimes, if you live in one of the northern climes, it could be a 3-dog night. So you need 3 dogs to keep warm. The thing is, that triggered, there used to be a band called 3-Dog Night.
Oh, yeah.
So I said, oh, well, Google's my friend. 3-Dog Night. Well, guess what their favorite song was? A famous song from them, and when it came out.
Oh, the 3-Dog Night song?
3-Dog Night.
What, like 1964 or something like that?
No, it was 1971. Okay, Jeremiah was a bullfrog.
Hey, was a good friend of mine. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm about to go into it.
I laughed so hard. I said, I've got to tell Barb. 1971. And you know what the thing was? Is that, okay, I'm going to tell on myself, I was 21.
Okay.
I was 21 when that song came out. And it was so to watch. I watched part of the video of what I mean, and just 3-Dog Night.
Wow. You went from the cuddle. It's funny how you went from
how that transition. But anyways, why cuddling is so important.
Cuddling is so important.
What it does is it releases oxytocin. Okay, so oxytocin, it's the hormone, it's one of the hormones that gives you that warm fuzzy feeling. It's the warm and fuzzy. But the thing is, though, it also helps to reduce pain. And it relieves anxiety. Okay. So, and it doesn't matter whether you, like, if you have a loved one and you're feeling a little, go and get a hug. The thing is, before you do it, what is your mood? Do you just feel that you need a warm and fuzzy? And don't be afraid to ask. That's the biggest thing. So many, well, he should see that I need a hug. Yeah, and no, they don't. No, they don't. And you know what? Once in a while, you just have to just say, I just need a hug.
Yeah.
there's no harm lost. I just need a hug.
And be open to it. You know how some people get, they be like, I'm not a hugger. You know, you hear some people say that. I'm not a hugger.
I'm not a hugger.
You know? And you have to respect it. You know, you never know behind that. But like you said, most of the time, it's nice to get that hug. Yeah.
Right. The thing is, the people that are not a hugger, they'll give you an abbreviated one.
Oh, like,
you know.
What you said, Barb? Like, okay.
But the thing is, but you can also, like my granddaughter, she is totally not a hugger. So I think I've said this before. We do a shoulder bump. See, right. Cuddling relieves anxiety. Absolutely. So, so like if you have a pet, even a stuffed pet, because it's the touch.
Yes.
It's the touch that you need.
Yes.
And so, I mean, and you can also just do one of these to yourself and just, you're just, and then just squeeze for yourself. It's called self-care.
Yes.
Now, if you want to take it a little bit step further and you don't have someone who's close to you that you like, with me once in a while, it's like, okay, kitties, over here. Grammy needs a hug. And they do
all over you.
And they do. The thing is, you know what? Guess what a massage is?
Oh yeah.
It's an all over body hug.
Ugh, and it feels good.
And even if and the thing is, you might not be into an all over body hug, but go and have your feet done.
Yeah.
Because it's that. And I splurge and have a hot rocks treatment where they put hot rugs down from my knees down and to my feet. Wow. And I come out of there and it's like, and it feels good. Yeah. And it's self-care. And ladies and men, self-care is not selfish.
Thank you. Oh, please, we need to shout that to the rooftops.
We need to shout that to the rooftops.
Yes. So many people put that it's like they put it to the side, just like, and I'm like,
last thing on the list.
I mean, last. And then they try to figure out why they're not feeling good, or they're feeling this way, or they're tired, or they might even feel a little depressed, or whatever the case may be. Mental health is real, people. It's
right.
Real.
And the sad part is to add to what you just said, which was, so you have to do it. When you don't take care of yourself, it shows up to the other people that are around you. So then it's like, why is he so cranky? Well, guess what? He's responding to you. Self-care is not selfish.
Thank you.
And one of the things is that it's vital for a healthy relationship, whether it is with a husband, a business partner, it's all about communication. But physical touch, it promotes trust, commitment, safety, reassurance. So if you don't have those things, then how can you have a healthy relationship? And I think of it as a constant pattern of connection.
Yes.
To connect with the people around you. And the thing is, on Zoom, smile. Remember to tell your face that you're happy. Exactly. And sometimes, a friend of mine, she does laughter yoga. And put on one of the things that you can do, and this is my lesson because we do have to go to a break, but on YouTube, go and put on, if you're feeling down and out and there's nobody around and you're just kind of like, ooh, brother, I don't like this. I don't feel good. I do that. Yeah. Go and, you just wake up and feel grumpy, go to YouTube. YouTube is your friend. Put in a laugh track. And all it is people laughing. you will, and laugh with it.
Yes, it doesn't take much for me to start laughing.
And it doesn't take much to start laughing. And when you laugh and when you hug somebody, it also releases dopamine in your brain, which is, the feel good hormone. But dopamine can also improve your memory. And so when you release that dopamine, you'll start thinking about pleasant thoughts of your childhood or bring back pleasant memories, those kinds of things, which adds to that feeling of completeness, of being well, of being happy.
Yes.
Happy.
Happy, yeah. I mean, one thing I like the laugh track that you brought up, Barbara. And another thing that I do is I always, if I'm feeling bad or a little depressed, because we go there, we're human.
We have to. Right?
I go straight to either some joyous music or a motivational speaker that I love to hear, and I just put it on real quick. And I say quickly because I have to catch it before I go deeper.
Exactly.
I don't want to hear it. So I said, no, let me get it on the cuff, because if I wait a little bit longer,
you'll go too far. Right.
Yeah, I'll go too far. So that's what I do too.
Yeah, because that comes under the law of polarity. Mm-hmm. It's one of the universal laws. There's two sides. There's happy. There's also sad. You have to have because you'll never appreciate the laughter unless you have the sad. Unless you know what sad is. So that's the law of polarity, the hot and cold, the high and low, the whatever and whatever, the law of polarity. However, we can kind of come to the point where we can keep on the positive side of the law of polarity. Just stay on this side of it. Because when you see that middle point, that's where you have to choose.
Yes. Yeah.
So like I will put on, I'm going to tell. I'll put on outtakes. The sizzle reels of the shows that all the outtakes, all the times they messed out, all the times they messed up.
Yeah, those are funny.
Those are sometimes the outtakes are funnier than the show itself.
It is, it really is.
To see them flub up and to see these famous people that just crack up.
Because they be in the zone and all of a sudden they know they said something wrong or whatever.
Or they can't remember their line, or or because they are actors.
And I love the out. You like you said, I love the bloopers type of thing.
The bloopers. Yeah, I couldn't think of the word. The bloopers. The blooper shows. So whatever it takes, whatever gets you, and just commend yourself when you make the decision, when you make that choice. I am not going to sink into this. I'm feeling this way. Acknowledge it. I'm just feeling really down and out right at this moment. Okay. That's the awareness. But when you have that awareness, you then can choose. I'm not going further into this. I'm going to go do something to get me out of it. I'll put on the twist and I'll dance to the twist. Yeah. Whatever it takes, whatever it is for you. Yeah, I do the twist. And I mean, I don't care if I'm sitting here in my chair doing it.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
I'm doing it.
Move those muscles.
Move them, exactly. Tuck in your stomach and move the muscles.
Man, I really need to do that. That's good.
Yeah.
You got to choose. I love what a
good.
wonderful person that's speaking with us and in tune with us today. Choose to be happy. Yes.
Choose to be happy.
You always say that, Barbara.
It's a choice. Sometimes it is a little bit harder choice to make. Absolutely. Absolutely. Been there, done that. Have the t-shirt. Have the t-shirt. The thing is that it's just that constant pattern of connection that goes doubly for yourself, because you can't go anywhere without you.
No,
you can walk away from other people,
but you can't walk away from this.
You can't get away from you.
Even though maybe he once or twice he want to say, can I get away from Barbara Beckley?
Yeah, can I get a new version of me? Can I get a new version? But you know what? That's the last exercise then. That's when you are feeling that way. Go stand in front of your mirror, set a timer for 2 minutes. Look yourself in the eyes and say, oh, Barbara, you are beautiful. And I love you. And you are special. And all of those things. It will literally change your life. Because we have to love the us that we are. We can change who we are. Absolutely. That's what I work with people. Let's get you to a higher level. Absolutely. But love where you are right now. And then you'll get to the next level.
Yeah. Well, with that, lady, we are going to go to our sponsor because we have a wonderful queen coming on.
Yeah, Janelle, you're going to love her.
Yeah, tell us a little bit, just a smidgen about her, and then we'll go to break real quick.
Yeah, met her a little over a year ago. And you meet those people that you just hit it off and just hit it off right away. We just had a connection. But then, a few months ago, I was doing my PQ, my positive intelligence stuff. And, they were having a special and I said, gee, if anybody wants to do this positive intelligence stuff, well, Janelle was one of them. Well, now we're going to do a workshop. I'm so excited.
I love the connection. See, you never know what's going to happen when you meet somebody.
Meet somebody. Yeah.
Now you're both doing a workshop together.
Now we're going to do a workshop together. And she's going to tell about the workshop she's got coming up. We're so excited for her.
Oh, and also, I know she's a marriage.
Marriage. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I think a lot of people, stay tuned, especially the ones that are married or you're thinking about getting married, or even if, something didn't work out, life still happens. You can find another partner might come your way. So stay tuned. And we're going to hear this from this wonderful queen.
And although it may seem a little mundane, packing up boxes and being on the assembly line, what we're really doing is putting in hundreds of hours into the people on the streets who need us. And they need us in a way that none of us will ever understand. And for the last couple of weeks, I've been on the grounds every day. They know we're coming today, they know we're coming tomorrow, and they look forward to seeing us because we're the one little bit of hope that they have to have a warm meal in their bellies and to know that somebody in the world is actually caring for them and loving them. And without people like you showing up today to give your time, your energy, and your spirit, none of this is possible. So I want to really say thank you to everyone, because what we're doing here today may seem small, but it's actually really, really big, and it's impacting hundreds and thousands of families. So I thank you, I love you, I look forward to doing this with you today. My name is Serena Buffalino, and I am the founder of Help Heal Humanity. Help Heal Humanity is a charity that is focused on unconditional giving, love, and support to some of the most vulnerable communities in the world.
Yay! And we are back. Hello, with our
hello
guest today. Is it Janelle?
That's right, JeanelGreene.
Yes, I got it right the first time. Well, Janelle, I want to just introduce myself real quick to you because I know you know the other BB on the other side, but I'm just so glad and excited that you're on our show today. So we're just really ready to get to know you and get into some, conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's early here. I'm on the West Coast, so it's just 7:30. So the sun is just starting to come out. I got my coffee here, so this is perfect.
Good. On a good note, time to happiness shine early in the morning. That's good.
That's right. That's right.
When I first said to Janelle, I said, Janelle, I want to have you on the show. I said, but it's going to be really early for you. She said, I can do it.
Well, I'm glad we moved our time because we used to be 8 o'clock.
We used to be.
Time, so that'd been 6 o'clock Janelle's time. Yeah. So
and we had a couple of West Coasters on, but it was early.
It was early for them, but I'm glad we moved a little bit. I'm glad you're on, yeah. With the coffee.
Absolutely. So then the reason I say that is sometimes my mouth and my brain aren't quite connected just yet. So I just need a few minutes. So if I say something dumb, you guys know why.
Welcome to our world.
Yeah. I feel like that during the day sometimes. And I'm wide awake. It's like, let's connect to that. But yeah, totally get it. Hey, you're not alone. You're
awesome.
not alone.
So Janelle, tell us about you.
Yeah.
And I know you have a workshop coming up. I'm so excited to have you tell about that. But then we're working on a workshop to ourselves. It's going to be fun.
That's right. So who I am is I am a relationship coach and marriage strategist, and I work with couples who are on the brink of separation, and I help them save their family. And more importantly, or save their marriage, but more importantly, heal their family. Because when marriages, when our parents go through something as little people, right, the impact of that is we start to feel unsafe. And so as someone who's gone through that at 9 years old and now being in my mid 40s and still seeing that moment in time continue to affect me, and being triggered by that. And, you think you got over it. You're like, okay, I'm good. I've done the work. And then something else comes up, right? And then, there you are, right back again at 9 years old, dealing with what it is that you're dealing with. But really, my purpose in this world, that my God-given purpose, is to bring love and healing to the world. And my mission is to transform 10 million lives. And I know that 10 million might not be in this lifetime, but when I really think about the generational impact that I want to make in the world through my work with the couples, that's why I'm here on this planet.
Well, the legacy, like you just said, Janelle, I mean, if you work with the couples and then they take that on and then their children, there's the number that you're looking for.
Right. So the ripple effect.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah. And let's see, I've been married for 17 years. I am in love with my best friend. Our marriage is easy, but it takes work, And so I tell people, marriage doesn't have to be hard, but it does take work. And so I use a lot of what I've learned in my own marriage, as well as, this is my second marriage. So I learned a lot from that first one and making all the mistakes. And so I really, I help people that are in their first marriages that are like, okay, how do I not fall into those traps that so many couples fall into without even realizing it until they're in the trap, and then they can't escape anymore. And so that's the work that I do.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Just real quickly before you get into, you just gave me hope, because I'm in the midst. Now, Barbara, I know she went through her divorce, married, and was wonderful. You said this is your second marriage, and it's wonderful. Well, I'm in the midst of, unfortunately, ending a marriage. 23 years we've been married. Just not working like it's supposed to, like you said. But you're giving me hope that the next one, see, I told somebody, I said, I'm not going to give up on marriage. I'm not saying marriage is bad. I love marriage. Marriage is wonderful.
Yeah.
Not with that person, the person that I am right now. So I had to say that in my mind. And then I had to also say that I had to tell myself too, that don't beat yourself up and thinking you're a failure because the marriage didn't work out the way it should.
Right.
So I'm glad that we need people like you, Janelle, to help us through that. Even the people that you're counseling for, and the ones that are like going into that phase of, okay, I'm out of this one, but I know there's hope for you.
Yeah. I think what's important for people in that position is, yes, there is definitely hope. And what there is to do is to work on what there is to heal before going into the next relationship. Because what a lot of people do is they jump ship without actually dealing with why they left the first place, and then they just basically attract the exact same kind of partner and then have the exact same experience, and then wondering why everybody's showing up the same way. It's like, well, you're the common denominator. So that's what you got to deal with. Right? Isn't it so much easier to go out in the world and go, no, the problem's out there. It can't be me.
Yeah.
So easy.
Right?
Man. So easy.
That's what we were just talking about in the first part of the show. You're the only person that you can't get away from.
Yeah, exactly.
So deal with it.
So
deal with yourself.
Let's deal with those inner hurts.
Yeah.
And I can remember 2 weeks ago, one day it was like I just broke out into tears. It was like, what's this? You know, I was having a good morning. But one of the things that I have learned is that when that feeling comes on me, sit down, let it out. Mm-hmm. So I just sat there and I cried for 5 or 6, 7 minutes, and then went, okay, what was that?
Yeah.
No clue.
Yeah. My
all
husband,
I know is that I had to get it out of my body.
Yeah. My husband actually, I think I told you this, Barb, my husband's father passed away on Good Friday, so 2 weeks ago. We were actually at church when we got the text that his dad was on his way to the hospital, and he passed away fairly soon after that. But to your point, Barb, my husband had to leave for 10 days, very abruptly, right? Obviously, it wasn't planned. And it was such an interesting experience to be alone. You know, like you were saying, Barb, like you've been married for 23 years, you said?
23 years.
Yeah. So being with and me and my husband both work from home. So we're one person, basically. And then to have it's almost like your left arm all of a sudden being cut off and shipped, and then he had to leave for 10 days. It was probably the most lonely experience I've ever gone through. And at the same time, I realized I had stuff to heal from that. Of course, my abandonment issues came up again, but I realized it's like, okay, this is the perfect opportunity for me to reinvent my relationship with God and my relationship with myself and be my own best friend.
Right.
Because my husband is such a provider and protector and comforter. And all of a sudden that was gone. And I'm like, and I didn't know how to do that for myself. And so as painful as that 10 days was without him, it really allowed me to realize, like, oh, okay, I know what my new coping mechanism is. It's singing. So when I sang and I cried a lot. And it was mostly Christian music. And it was just being presence to everything happens for a reason. Everything is for the good. And that it was also, I got really revalidated that the work that I'm doing right now is not just work. It is God's work that I'm doing.
Yes.
And that I am fully giving my life over to this thing that is bigger than myself.
Ooh, I love what you said real quickly. When you said singing and spiritual singing music, that's what really gets me right there. Right. When I listen to that, like the praise and worship music, all that kind of stuff, and then the crying, and I feel like there's a cleansing happening. It's like Barbara was talking about what you're talking about. It's a cleansing. And first I'm like, why am I sitting here? I'm like, Barbara, why am I sitting here crying? I didn't know I was sad or whatever. But then your body's releasing something that you didn't even realize that was there, that you have to unfold. Yeah. It's beautiful.
And sometimes it could be something from your childhood. And sometimes this particular time, I didn't even know why I was crying. But obviously I needed to get it out of my body, because once I let it out and just sat there and cried for whatever, it was a layer of an onion. I just didn't know which layer it was. And you don't always have to know what layer it is. Sometimes it was like, oh, that was definitely from my childhood. Mm-hmm. And it was so, there were times where it was like, ooh, that was definitely from my childhood. And something with my mom or something with my dad or something with my little sister. Or it was like, ooh. But you know what? You have to get it out of your body. Yeah. Because I was an emotional stuffer, which is why my first marriage failed.
I am too. I know one thing, and then I'll let Janelle, I want her to keep on going. One thing you just triggered too for me, I was crying. I'm crying right now. Like 3 weeks ago. And what triggered it, I found out, because like you said, knowing your triggers and what, sometimes people trigger. Mm-hmm. So, and they were doing it out of, it was supposed to be jokingly, they said it, but it triggered me. So they said, Barbara, because I'm an only child, so I don't have any brothers and sisters. And she has like a whole lot of brothers and sisters. So she was just telling me, she said, well, at least you have to worry about taking care of your parents. They're both gone. So you're like an orphan now. And I was like, first she thought it was kind of, and then I thought about that. And then after she left in the conversation, I was like, I'm an orphan.
You're an orphan.
I'm an orphan. Oh, no, I need a hug. I was like, I need some help here. And I just started crying because I was like, I felt alone on that instant. And see, people, that's what I'm saying. You never know what's going to trigger. And people, you'll never know when you say something to somebody. You don't know how that's going to react. She was thinking like, oh, you have to worry about, I know she was meant what she meant. But then in my world, I was like, well, I don't have sisters and brothers. I don't have this and that. Then my parents, they've been gone for a while. And my marriage is about to, So now you're telling me I'm an orphan. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So, but just saying that, just an example of triggers can happen with your own, with yourself. Or somebody can trigger it to trigger something within yourself to say, oh, well, I am standing somewhere here. So, yeah, I thought that was very interesting. But I'm glad I got it out.
Yeah, I think that, where I feel like we fall down is that we don't give ourselves the space. Like, I know for us, our generation, we were taught to be tough, don't cry, And what's interesting is in the work that I do, I find that more likely it is the man that actually cries on the session than the women. And I think it's because I seem to attract very strong women that have a very strong masculine energy and then a very, I wouldn't say feminine energy men, but a little bit more passive, a little bit, and oftentimes those kind of men don't feel heard. And when they do want to open up, when they do feel vulnerable, we shut them down. Mm-hmm. And then we wonder why they numb out. We wonder why they disconnect. We wonder why they have affairs. Is because we don't give them that space. And, I'm going to be really, really honest with you guys. My husband is a crier. And when I first met him, I was so weirded out by this man who would just cry because he felt like crying. And I was like, this is weird. But my husband's like this 6'2", big, burly, goatee, shaved head, like 250-pound man who just once in a while just feels so emotional. And I remember when I first saw that, I was like trying so hard to make him stop. Can you please stop crying? Especially when I'd say, well, why are you so upset? He's like, I don't know. I just feel so sad right now. And this would happen like every 3 to 6 months. It wasn't a normal thing, but just one day he would wake up on the wrong side of the bed. He would probably start an argument with me, and then it would end up in tears. And I was brought up to be my mom was a very strong woman, right? And so I was taught not to cry. And then when I was about 15, I dated a man who was very emotionally abusive. And he used to tell me constantly that crying was weakness and that I belonged in a mental institution and just all this garbage. And then my dad died about 10 years later, and I could not cry. Like, I'm sitting there watching my dad's body go in, and I felt so emotionally constipated, because there was just so much belief in me that was like, no, you cannot let anyone see you cry, even though logically, I'm like, of course you're gonna cry. This is your father you're talking. Okay, and I'm a daddy's girl, right? Yes. So, but then I realized, like, wow, for me to be with my husband in that space where he allows me to actually share this part of him, even though in that moment there's probably some shame. I'm like, oh my God, I shouldn't be crying. I'm a man, right? But for me to allow him just to be, babe, it's okay. And I got you. And you can cry as much as you need to cry. I'm here. I love you. I don't think anything less of you. Woo, I'm getting emotional about this. I think that's what's missing in our world is for us to be that loving and compassionate with each other. We're so good at doing it for our children, but we're really crappy at it with our partners because we're like, well, you know, he's an adult. He should
know.
You should know
He should
better.
know.
He should know better.
But a lot of people, even though, you know, physiologically or, you know, physically, we've matured, emotionally, many of us haven't in many ways. And so I think compassion is what's missing in a lot of relationships. And to also have like no expectation. And I think that's what really makes my marriage work is we are of service to each other, and yet there's no expectation. So whenever that service happens, it's always this delightful, like, oh, thank you. Even though it's a thing that happens every day, it is not taken granted for. So every moment is a miracle and a joy and just a gesture of love.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful. And I love, now a long time ago, I was like you, I was grown up with my mother. Don't cry, I had to cry.
Me too.
I had to hide and stuff because she would give me whoopings. I mean, this is old school. She would basically, if she see me crying or even a tear or whatever, she's like, you don't supposed to be crying. What do you do? Stop that. I was like, so, but my dad, he was opposite. He was a crier. And me and him couldn't even cry in front of her. That was the weird part. Like we both were like, "Don't do it in front of her." But I love how your husband and you accepted the fact that you had to go through that learning curve with him, because I feel like a man, when they do cry, to me, they're even more of a man.
Yeah,
right. By doing that, by being able to express, because I know they grew up where they had to be this. Man, you don't cry, you don't tell your feelings, you don't talk to women talking about I feel this way, you don't say nothing like, that's how they grow up. I mean, they're just it's automatic for them. And I feel for them, because it's like you have to start as soon as you come out the womb that you got to be this and you can't say anything that sounds like it's, So I'm loving that your husband and you accepted him and he feels comfortable in doing that.
Well, especially with this week with his father passing away, he's kind of gone through these spaces because he's never lost a parent before. I have, so I kind of know what it's like. But he's going through these spaces of like, should I be crying right now? Why aren't I crying? And then when he does cry, it's like, oh, I shouldn't be crying. Oh, I'm so sorry. But to be honest with you, ladies, there is something so beautiful about seeing a man so vulnerable and so in love with his parent that he just feels so much emotion and loss versus, most people who just try to stuff it down and try to get over. Right. He's just allowing himself to have that grieving process and it's just so beautiful to see someone go through that. My fear, because I think we're at that age where we kind of anticipate our parents going to go, right? And I've always in the back of my mind had this fear like, oh boy, what's going to happen when he does lose his parents, because they're so close. And my fear was that he was going to shut down. My fear was that he was going to lock me out and kind of grieve in private, which a lot of people do. Mm-hmm. But no, it was actually the opposite. Like he came to me and is like, can I just have a hug? Can I just lie on your lap and cry? Can I just, right? And it was like, of course. And he was so appreciative. And he was just, I think it was almost like he couldn't believe how much support I gave him. And it's actually brought us closer together.
Exactly.
Wow. Oh, exactly. It touched my heart. I love it. See, that's
And for me, if someone out there is listening right now and hearing that, just know that it's not if you have not been that way in the past, doesn't mean you can't ever be that way. So, and I love that. Let it out and give yourself a hug. Right? Exactly. And know that going forward, you can change, because today is the first day of the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And you have the ability to choose.
Yeah.
Change the relationship.
The first step, I think you guys mentioned it really early on, is like first is having the awareness. Like now that you know, now you can do something about it. If you didn't know in the past, it's not your fault. But now that you know, and you know that there is a change that can be created out, now that you see this thing that you're doing or not doing, right now you can be responsible about it and be powerful about it. But insight makes no difference if you take no different action. It's just the same stuff.
That's so
right.
Yes.
And I think vulnerability is one of those things that we all need to be more comfortable with, because I think that's what's missing in marriages and in relationships. We're so, like, I know for me, it was all about being independent, right? I don't need any man. And I have a husband who loves to feel needed. And I think a lot of men feel that way. They're like, well, here's my woman. She's a doctor. She's a mom. She's super mom. How do I fit into this family other than being, the money maker? Yeah, the breadwinner. Where do I fit in when my wife tries to take care of everything? There's kind of no place for me. And so in my own marriage, I make sure that I create space for my husband. So my husband's tall and I'm like 4'11".
Oh, wow.
Right? My husband's 6'2". Yeah. And so his thing is getting things off the high shelf. And so if he sees me climbing the counters, he's like, what are you doing? Get down there. Get down from there. But, I now know, like, these are the things he wants to do. He wants to carry the groceries into the house, even though there's 12 bags. He doesn't want me to help him. That's for him, his manhood, I guess, or whatever. But like, he feels good when he gets to contribute to me. But I think the trick, if women are wondering, like, how the heck do you get your husband to do all these amazing things for you? My husband cooks, my husband cleans, and I don't have to ask. It's just done. But if women are asking me, like, how the heck do you get your husband to do that? The key word here is appreciation. I'm not saying thank you. I mean, like, baby, you are an amazing cook. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day-to-day so that I can get my work done and making sure that there's food on the table, which is delicious. And I appreciate everything you do for me. That is the attitude I take every single day with my husband. And he loves it. And so he wants to do more things to get more praise. Like, men are not that complicated.
Because that's one thing men love. I don't care what kind of, who's a man. They love to hear that. They love to hear that, they appreciate that they did a good job, that, they just, it sucks in for them. So, yeah. That's one of the secret sauces.
That's one of the secret sauces. Yeah. And then the other one is to know what your partner's love language is. Right. Yeah. I think that's where me and my first husband went wrong, is he was giving me gifts and all I wanted was his time.
Right.
I wanted to have a great, bedroom life. I wanted him to come to church with me. I wanted him to help me wash dishes. That's what I wanted.
Right.
But with my husband, Michael, I know two things. He loves hugs and kisses, and he loves to be told how much he's appreciated. So that's all I do. I appreciate him and I give him lots of affection. That's all he needs. That's his gas. And his gas tank is always full. And so I think as long as you know what your partner's love like, we can continue to speak that. And that way you're not trying to do 10 different things to make your partner happy. You can do like one or two things that work and just keep doing it. Keep paying attention.
And doing lots of it.
And doing lots of it.
Do lots of it.
And going with it with no expectation, because real love is not conditional.
Yes.
So if it's like, I'm going to do this for you, but you better do something back for me. Well, now that's not what we're talking
conditional.
About. No. And you can feel that, you can sense it. It's all there. And it's like, no, that's not going to work. You're going to have some problems. Yeah. But with the time, I can't believe that we're at time here.
Right.
See, that tells us we got to bring this queen back, right, Burr?
We're going to have to bring Janelle back.
Come back.
Sounds good.
Okay, tell everybody how they can contact you, lady.
Yeah, they can reach me at www.saveourmarriage.ca. I've got some workshops coming up for people who want to really elevate their relationship. So come check me out and send me a note and say hello.
Awesome. And we'll make sure we put that in the show notes too, so everybody can please reach out to this wonderful queen. You see, she has a plethora of knowledge and she's just amazing.
When is your workshop, Janelle?
Oh, yeah. When is your workshop, real quick?
My next one is April 30th. And it's called Marriage Mastery, Love and Intimacy in Action.
Ooh.
Because, love is great. You can say, yeah, I love you. But if there's no there's no action behind it, then it's just what's that called? just
Pixie dust.
lip
Pixie dust.
service. Lip
Lip
service.
service. Lip
Really?
service.
That's boring too. But see, this is a whole nother conversation I want to have with Janelle, is that alone. So we definitely got to bring you back, lady. And it was nice meeting you. I feel like I've been knowing you forever now. I love when I meet people that I feel like I've been knowing them for a while. That's why you don't need to connect more. So Barbara, I see why you and Janelle is doing the workshop together, because you two are just powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. Well, we'll see you next Tuesday, same time, same station. Janelle, lovely meeting you. And I wish you well with your workshops, you and Barbara, and separate. And we will see you next Tuesday.
Bye, everybody.